How's your team doing? Lousy?
Yeah, especially after that.
Hi, Dan.
Down there. Yeah, threw an egg for me last night.
I think that's yours. What do you get, 2 packages?
No, this is stuff in here. Prior meetings I need to talk to you about.
Okay. I got time. Oh, that's just my flow.
What I'm gonna do is put,
This mic is always just on one channel, but you have to speak pretty closely into it. So when it's your time to shine, feel free to speak directly into that mic. So thank you.
Or Cody, you can share.
Yeah.
Hold that thing like a rock star.
You got it.
They're gonna rock star it.
Oh, cool. Anybody's light goes out, just raise your hand and I'll run a 9 volt over to you. Yeah.
His knees are, I was asking about your knees when you first came up, but you were, I asked you about your knees coming up the steps. Hey, Carl. I haven't seen Carl. Except on a walk, I see him when he's.
If there's anybody signed up out there on the clipboard, please. Thank you. Actually, we should probably bring it in, right? And that way somebody can go.
Steve can, he's on the outer things.
how many of those you think have been previously provided?
Yeah, maybe that's the last one. Three of them follow it now.
Thank you, Steve.
Almost 40 counting. Chief, how did the walk go? Chief Little.
Chief Will?
Chief Little.
Freudian slip there.
That's why, no, I'm deliberately looking at him, so.
He went fine.
Did you count the number of pages? And this is what I'm
Oh,
gonna
I
let you
thought you
start
might
off
have
with.
Oh, no, they take a good time.
So that's it. I said it to get really fast. You good? Okay, call the meeting to order and the pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will have roll call.
Ray Claypool,
Here.
Sarah Freilich,
Here.
Pam Spoor.
Here.
Laura Cardosi,
Here.
Steve Elkins.
Here.
And Emily
Emily's
Sayers.
at a conference.
Okay.
She texted me earlier, so. Before we get on the minutes, I just want to give a short update. I finally did get to talk to St. Joseph Heights people on the property, so there's an update. St. Charles is getting close to finalizing their contract, but I'm able to tell you that they are moving dirt in a few months. They plan, they don't have a contract yet, but they're planning 22 cottages in phase 1, a community center with a cafe, and anyone can use that, and then a community center, anyone can use that as well, and they'll have an education center there for all their, anybody that's in need of education for their jobs or whatever, that'll be tweaked at some time there too. But it will be open to other people calling to use their center. They're working through their plan right now to see how it goes with KCPC, and Jay is reviewing this as well. And she said this will mean revenue for the city through payrolls and contractors, and there's going to be a lot going on. She said they're spending a lot of millions of dollars up there. So I decided to get that update first, and now we can move on to the minutes. Do I have a motion for March 9th?
So moved.
I'll second. I only have one item for the minutes from March 9th. It is at the bottom of page 1, where it says Mr. Coway. Just want to make that Conway. That's it.
I have one tiny item on page 4 under old business, section 7. Fourth line down where it says Ms. Spore, we should insert the word made, a motion.
Where are you at, Pam? Sorry.
Oh, I'll show you. Where is it? Right there.
Oh, duh, okay. Gotcha.
I have one. On the last page, page 5, it just says, "Motion to adjourn meeting was made by Mr. Elkins," and there was no second recorded.
I don't think we had a second. We don't always.
Oh, we don't? Okay. All right.
Yeah, not always.
Okey-doke.
Anyone else? Mr. Claypool?
Yes.
Ms. Freilich?
Yes.
Ms. Spore?
Yes.
Ms. Cardosi?
Yes.
Mr. Elkins?
Yes.
We have minutes from March 23.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
I only have one tiny item here too, under rule of meetings. Let's see, it's the fifth line from the bottom on the first page where it says Roberts rules. Let's make it Roberts.
And I have one minor item in that same paragraph, fourth line down, behind public comments, it should say on disputes between neighbors. And then behind the word neighbors and matters of personnel. And I'll just give you that, Julie, so you
Thank
can
you.
see that.
Mr. Claypool?
Yes.
Ms. Freilich?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Sure.
What was the last one that you suggested? I didn't catch
It-
that.
I'll read you the whole sentence. That might make more sense. It said she wants it to include basic rules of courtesy and have an option for hybrid meetings. It says she believes public comments between neighbors are not appropriate. But what I really said was public comments on disputes between neighbors and matters of personnel are not appropriate.
Okay.
And that's reflected in the ordinance as well.
Sorry, I just thought maybe it was a different spot. Okay.
Anything else?
Mr. Claypool?
Yes.
Ms. Freilich?
Yes.
Ms. Spore?
Yes.
Ms. Cardosi?
Yes.
Mr. Elkins?
Yes.
We have a petitioner, Mr. Burling.
Council, I have a couple handouts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seven. I brought 7 first.
Thank you.
It's a plan you've seen before. Mr. Neighbor and I were in front of you a number of months ago. Go back through it quickly, just a little bit of history. Last spring, we started looking at the Szechuan Garden property and what possibilities there were for it. And after quite a bit of research, we felt there was an opportunity for all thus to set it up for future commercial development along Dixie Highway and building residential that balanced the fact that it was directly adjacent to commercial and backed up to existing residential. To do this, we required relocating Arlington's connection to Dixie through the Szechuan property. For us, this meant losing the ability to develop the commercial where Szechuan Garden is now on our frontage, but we were able to offset that with the 24 homes on the residential portion to the rear. With new development projects, it is great when all parties have a win. With this knowledge that for a short time, the county had economic development funds available for projects just like this, we saw an opportunity was there for a win. There were three main things we felt could be accomplished with the available funds. Use the funds to eliminate the hard 90-degree turn in Arlington and the double traffic light on Dixie Highway. Qualify for those funds by creating economic development for building new high-quality residential. What we presented at the previous council meeting and to the residents in meetings, what we know what works financially for this project and is a logical buffer between the existing residential and the future commercial. And then number three is set up for future economic development along the Dixie Highway corridor by creating an access to a new lighted intersection for future commercial development. And all this can be done with minimal investment from the city. Though this is a small project in the grand scheme of things, it's less than 2 acres. There's a lot of work needing to be done. Quite a bit of change. And we understood that comes with lots of questions and concerns. Knowing this, we had the meetings with the residents. We were before you with council, with the budding property owners, and the others who had a stake in this process. We also came before this body to present our ideas to you and the public. We heard support for what this could bring to the city, but also concern about the change and the unknown. I appreciate the willingness of all to listen and the honesty about your concerns. We're at a point where this project needs to move forward through the proper processes that shall go through, or the property to be developed into something else. If you choose the former, there's still work to be done, but we can start the process and get this to a win for all of us. So the process that I see based on other projects that I've done and that other developers have done and cities have done, there's multiple paths that can be going at the same time. It allows for the proper public participation through Kent County Planning Commission, through City Council, through negotiations on a number of things. I know representatives of PDS are here. I think Patrick and Josh are here. They can go through a lot better than I can on the zoning side. But I counted about 4 paths, and then there's actually paths inside those paths. So, but 4 was a better number, and then I'll go through those, and then I'll let Patrick and Josh kind of get up and go through how that process would happen if you choose to go that way. There's the zoning to allow the residential to be developed as proposed. The RM zone in your new Z21 needs to be amended. In your packet are the changes. I think there's 2 pages. There's the pages with the current, and then I did it in red. Hopefully, one of my partners is colorblind, and I never put anything in red, but if anybody's colorblind, please let anybody see what I did there. And Patrick can go through how that process would work. There's a map amendment. The developer, myself, would file for a zoning map amendment at the same time as the text amendment would be going through, and which would change the residential portion of the Szechuan property and the city-owned portion of the property from the city-owned property behind the police station from RU to R-M. This will go before Kenton County Planning Commission for a public hearing, allowing the public to have comments and to voice their concerns to the Planning Commission members, including your member on Planning Commission. And then it potentially would go, and Josh and Patrick will explain, could go before City Council. Third, the city works through with the developer to draft an agreement covering the many details that go into a complex development. And I'm listing a couple, but there obviously will be more, and that's negotiated and discussed between the developer and the city. And for example, who pays for what? Where does the city work stop and the developer's work start? What becomes of the detention basin? Does it stay above ground or does it go underground? Plan for the future access to Dixie Highway for the commercial to the south. And then we work through details like a preliminary engineer's estimate for the Arlington relocation. This is extremely important because the funds coming from the county are meant to pay for that. So that is to make sure that the county funds will be sufficient. Get appraisals for the land swap. Need it for the right-of-way that will be going on Szechuan Garden site to the land behind the police station. Appraisal for the right-of-way, need it from Mrs. Powers' property to build Arlington through. I've included in your packets the site plan, which is similar to the one that you saw a number of months ago, and then the proposed text amendment language. Again, there's a lot to do, but if the city feels that this can be a great project and help create opportunities in the future, then we're willing as a development team to work with the city to make it a reality. So more than willing to answer any questions. I don't know if we want Patrick and Josh to come up first to kind of explain that process.
Well, Josh and I actually talked about the flow, and I kind of explained that, but if they come up and talk about how this flows from, a text amendment to KCPC to, back to council, et cetera. So, what's.
Yeah, why don't we do that, and then I can come back up for more questions from council. That's okay?
So Josh or Patrick, whoever.
Good evening. I'm Patrick Dunbo, Senior Planner with PDS. So essentially, the text amendment part of the application would have to come from the city. That's a city request. So for that portion, City Council authorizes a text amendment, and then that allows the city administration to file a text amendment application with us for the Kenton County Planning Commission. That goes to the Planning Commission for a public hearing, and then back to City Council for final vote after that. The map amendment part of the development, that would come from the property owner or developer side of things. They would have a pre-application process to go through first. So that's something that could be done in the background while the text amendment is being authorized. Both of these applications can come through concurrently to Planning Commission. We've seen that before, where the text amendment and the map amendment appears at the same public hearing. When that happens, Planning Commission will typically give a recommendation with a condition that, for the map amendment, that the map amendment be approved either after the text amendment is approved or simultaneously with the text amendment, because ultimately the text has to be there in order for the project to work. So also with the map amendment, a concept development plan is required to be a part of that application. So what's being reviewed is the map amendment itself and the concept development plan that becomes binding on that property if the map amendment is ultimately approved by City Council. So that's generally the process. So for the map amendment, it's pre-application with us. That's on the developer side. Then they would file an application for the Planning Commission. And again, that can be worked out to be simultaneous with the text amendment. Once Planning Commission issues its recommendation, we will prepare an action letter for both cases, the text and the map, that would come to City Council. The map amendment portion of that would also include a summary of evidence of any testimony that was provided at the Planning Commission. The action letter for text amendments can be put together a little quicker than map amendments action letters for map amendments, just by the nature of that summary of evidence. But typically that happens within a week to 2 weeks of the Planning Commission meeting is when you would receive that action letter, just timing wise. The Kentucky Revised Statutes do not provide a timeline for text amendments for city councils to approve or take action on those requests. So once Planning Commission gives a recommendation on a text amendment, there's no timeline associated with when you would have to approve that. There is with the map amendment. It would be 90 days. So there's a 90-day clock from that Planning Commission recommendation before that recommendation would become final. So City Council would have 90 days to take action.
On the map.
On a map. And that would include the concept development plan.
Patrick, do you draft the text amendment, or do you advise us in the drafting process?
We can certainly assist the city in
Okay.
putting that language together.
Okay, and after talk, I'll just clear up what I put on. I actually sent this to Josh to look over if I could with the council. Is this about what we talked about? So, because I know with council, there was other questions of, okay, when does a development agreement happen? When does this happen? Who's paying for what? You know, all those things. So, how I understand it, and what Josh and I talked about, now this was just the text amendment, you know, to make an application for this to start moving the process. That to consider the text amendment, you know, Mr. Burling would come and do the ask, and then next, if we said yes to the text amendment, that this would go to KCPC they would start their process, which takes probably 4 to 6 weeks, likely that maybe, depends when you get your date, you know, could be even
Correct.
longer, I know how those things go. Then there would be that public hearing to consider it and a recommendation back to us. But meanwhile, I've already asked Mr. Bayer to get started on what the road would actually cost, instead of just having a number of $1 million, you know, because I did talk about the grant as well, and if I would probably go, and if we need a little more, I'd ask for, hey, how much more do we have here to work with? Just, you know, there's a lot of questions in between to get ironed out before that would come back to us. Then you work on, meanwhile, we're working on a development agreement, what's acceptable to the city, what's acceptable to the residents. You know, what are we putting there? Can we tweak this? Can we do this? Excuse me. So all those things can be going on while we're in the wait for this date with KCPC to do their recommendations. Am I correct?
Yeah, that part of the project, the development agreements and working those
Yeah,
things out are
that's
outside
between-
of the zoning process. So
Exactly.
those are things that can, yeah.
But that's what I wanted to say, that if we said okay to the text to get started, that there's a lot in between before you ever adopt the text or the map. That's how I wrote it up, and I just wanted to clarify that. And let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, it comes back to the city after all that, and there's, if it's not, everything's not what everybody wants, then there's no action. There's no action taken until you can have a meeting of the minds and things are all worked out. So I just wanted to get that clarified, you know, based on what I offered to everyone. And I called and I actually put it in the packets and stuff. So.
Yes, and just to clarify, when the recommendation comes from Planning Commission on the map amendment part, there is that 90-day timeline.
Right.
And if no action is taken within the 90 days, whatever that recommendation is becomes final.
Okay. I got, so you have to say yes or no within the...
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So for the text amendment, what do you require? Just an application? A
Yeah.
council vote for a mayor to make application? Is that how that works?
Yeah, so typically what we see is an authorization from council in the form of a resolution, and that gets submitted with the text amendment application and the language that's being requested. And again, the language part is something that we can work with you on. But yeah, that's what would be needed for that.
I just want to,
What I've done in the past was I prepared the resolution authorizing the application to be made by the city. And then you typically will give me the, as you just said, the information necessary for the change to the zone.
Right.
Was to be attached there too, and that should be the initiating document to get you going forward, right?
Correct.
I just want to say thank you, Patrick, for being here, because I think you answered a lot of the questions that I had. I actually emailed Andy earlier today, and I feel like you covered all of them, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else for you? Any questions for Mr. Barone?
Thank you.
I do have a question for you. Now that we've heard more about the process and what the timeline looks like, I'm just curious about, what you're, what you're looking for from us tonight, if anything, and also what your timeline looks like.
Yeah, I'm looking, excuse me. I'm requesting that the city consider a text amendment based on the changes that I've proposed to the text. So that's why I'm asking for the city to consider that. I know it's going to take writing the resolution and then coming back before council for a vote, which is understood. And then timeline from there, once there's a go-ahead, either way, there's a yes or a no by council. If there's a yes, then I'll be ready to submit my map amendment with the concept development plan. And again, I'll say that's an important part, because that's where the public is to come to the planning commission meeting, and we really get to drill down on the details there, on things that they don't like, things that they like. I'm able to come up and say, I can do this, I can't do that. And it's kind of the first stop before, to kind of get it to where when it comes before council, there's a lot of things done to where the council has something more clear to vote on. So while we're going through that process, and like I said, that, as the mayor said, we're 4 to 6 weeks from that actually being before the public. So once it goes for a public hearing, then we would, and even before we work through, and I'm going to work through on a draft of a development agreement. So we've done them on a number of projects. It is a really good way to get everything down on paper, to where I agree to do something, the city agrees to do something, to where it's not he said, she said. It is down, we sign on the dotted line, and that's what we're agreeing to do as the city and as the developer. And then it gives us time to work through the details. So timeline for me is I put together with the seller the ability to go through this process. And I think it's important. I've talked with a number of council people, with the residents, and going through this process and having that public comment is really important for everybody. So, like I said, the map amendment, the development plan, that's where we'll drill into all the details that are the major concerns of the residents and of council from there.
Great.
So basically, the text, the resolution to say, let's do the text amendment, then that gets you, the date starts clicking so they can get you on their books.
Correct.
Which takes 4 to 6 weeks to even get a date.
Yeah, they have submittal deadlines. Yeah.
Okay, let's get that clear.
Yeah. It takes time. The
does.
development process on every project that I do takes
Because they have
time.
a cutoff date, and
but
I
it's
know if
important.
you miss that, you wait for another month, so it
Yeah.
could be longer than that,
Yeah.
8 weeks, so.
Yeah. So I'd like to request that. I guess I look to council on what that looks like. Does it come before you in your next scheduled meeting? When can that happen? And for me, that helps my timing too, of when can it be ready for the council to vote on? And I don't know if you may not have an answer right now, but it would help me with timing, and then with the other portions of this process.
I know we typically have a caucus, but we don't this month because of Memorial Day.
No, that's in May.
Oh, gosh, I'm ahead. Okay, never mind.
I lose time
We do.
too.
We'll have a
Okay,
caucus,
well, maybe
yeah.
we could we have a special meeting as
Yeah.
part of that?
Yeah, we could. We've done that many times. So.
I got it. I mean, does
I mean, I feel like they've done a good job explaining it. There's a lot of hoops, even if we go do this. You know, the citizens and council's got the final approval, working with the developer and so on and so forth. I mean, my opinion, if we do have a special meeting, I think it'd be a good idea to go forward, at least to that point, my personal opinion. I don't know how everybody else on council feels, but, you know.
It does get the ball started.
Right,
so
exactly.
the
I know,
timing
I mean,
is a
on a
big-
special meeting, but to get a view of council, what their feeling is after listening to this, I guess my opinion would be. Anybody else got an opinion on
When could
council?
you-
If we have a special meeting?
You'd have to do a resolution.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sarah said, just call a special meeting prior to the caucus meeting, and
Right.
pass this resolution, adjourn, and go to the caucus.
Right.
Yeah, I agree, gets the ball rolling, but it doesn't commit us to anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. You want them to come up?
Go ahead.
Do you want them to come up to the dais?
Yeah, if you want to go up to the mic for your question.
Sure. Do I need to introduce myself?
Sure.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So we have you on paper.
Oh, I didn't realize I was signing in for anything. Sheila Dean, Old State Road. My question is your schematic going to be available to the public, and if so, how, and how quickly? And will you have information how this compares to the initial application you filed several months ago? Thank you.
Yes, it will, it'll be submitted to PDS, to Planning Commission. So, which, what's the time frame? What, from when I submit it to when the meeting happens? 4 weeks. So it'll be, I'll submit it, and then it'll be 4 weeks. The plan will be available for public view, and then we'll have the public hearing.
PDS will make it public, council will not, is that on my understanding?
Yes, yeah, PDS will make it public, yeah. So it is a public hearing.
And it's
So-
actually, it'll be available a couple weeks before the meeting too.
Right, and then, not to go too far into the weeds, but Planning Commission and staff also do a, what's the,
Open records request.
well, no. You write a staff report, sorry, I said staff. So they'll write a staff report that'll provide quite even more information than just the plan.
Okay, the second half was basically, how does this differ from your first application?
Well, I didn't make a first application.
That's right.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I had just brought it before you. So this plan is actually similar to the one that I had brought before council a number of months ago, yeah, so very, very similar.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you for being here and for the time that you've taken to meet with some of us individually and to talk through some of our concerns. And I also just want to say that, I've been learning more about our housing crisis, like in general. And while I think it's really important to note that housing and creating housing is really important right now on every level. I've learned that, even when we build more less affordable housing, we'll just call it, it still brings more housing to the marketplace, which is really important. And I think this is the kind of location where housing is very needed because it's on a good public route. There are a lot of really positive things about that. So I just want to give that note.
I think that's an important note. I think that's been the case for a while, like maybe a couple years. And I think when we discussed this project originally, I mentioned that too. And I think we have to be attentive to that because not all housing can be,
Accessible.
less affordable. What's the word I'm looking for? But,
Income aligned.
Well, that's one of the beauties of our city. We do have great diversity and housing opportunities are available. And I think that is to everyone's benefit.
Yeah, it's important.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These are all,
Patrick, I don't know if you're going to get ready to leave or not, but the sooner you get the language to me so that I can put it as an attachment to the order, appreciate it. You can share it to the mayor.
thanks. We have a first first reading of ordinance 2. We have all first readings.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Park Hills, Kentucky, creating in Title III Administration of the Code of Ordinances, a new Chapter 34, establishing and adopting an internal procurement policy.
I'd like to add a note about this. Maybe I'll wait till Pam's back.
First and second, we can discuss it.
So first read.
Well, it's a first reading. Do we want to, I mean, whatever we all want to do. It's okay. I know it's different.
And you'll notice that it's a little different than that.
I did.
You
Yeah.
told her last meeting that I
Yeah.
requirement.
So I'm going to put the brakes on a little bit because I'm wondering if we can table this until maybe July or August, at least this particular ordinance, because there is an update coming because of House Bill 392, which was just signed by the governor last week. And what that means is that there will be an update to the general procurement policy and like what the minimum amount, it will be raised to $50,000 in July, most likely. So, so while I have a different thought on ordinance 3, I think for ordinance 2, I think we might want to wait until that is complete, and then also that will give us time to review the policy, because with the adoption of this ordinance, we'll want to make sure that our policy is in the shape we want it to be. So it'll give us a little extra time.
Well, this covers our internal procurement policy.
I understand, that's why I'm saying that. Because the internal policy may need to be updated to the $50,000 amount.
I don't think there was any reference in your internal policy except to follow the statutory requirement.
Right.
The changes will be made as part of the ordinance of the three, it would be automatic. The proposed legislation, which is going to pass, I think just increases it to 50,000 with, I think, every 2 years, it's going to go up another 10,000, so you don't have to keep going back and doing this over and over. So actually, it could be separated out.
And this provides for that to be
Right,
increased as it's increased by the state?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
That's why we tried to do the evergreen aspect, so that we don't have to go back and change it every time the state makes a change. Our ordinance will comply by virtue of the evergreen aspect. And just so we're all clear on this, we have a procurement code that addresses the interaction of the city on large projects and, roads and things. And what Mr. Braun is referring to in our internal procurement code, could you distinguish that for everybody?
Well, pretty much like you said, the adopted procurement code in the state of Kentucky, the model procurement code, and Jay can speak to this if necessary. Otherwise, we've been using the general bidding requirements. The district put us under the uniform code. That's for larger projects, as you said, for major projects, street improvements, road improvements, things that are very costly, and most of the time you get grants for. The ordinance we just read, which has to do with your internal policy, what do you do with regard to small purchases on credit cards by your department heads and things of that nature? So they're actually separate from each other.
but the portion of 34.001, number 1, requires that and this is where we're putting the policy into our code as an appendix. And we haven't yet reviewed the policy as a group. So I think that it would be better for us to have a little bit more time to do that.
Our internal policy has been on the books for some time.
I
But
understand.
it's just not attached to an ordinance, and the reason for it being attached to an ordinance is so public can see it
I
easily.
understand all of those things, but we have
What-
not reviewed the policy here as a body in this time frame. So because we're adding it as an appendix, I would like to make sure that it's what we want it to be. That's all. I think it could be a very simple review. I just want to have that opportunity.
Well, I think it's a first read, so we think about it until,
That's why I'm sharing all of this now, so that we can make these choices now instead of waiting until we get to a second reading.
And so how will we proceed then?
What I'm proposing is that we wait and review the
Got that.
policy, and then we can check on what the numbers are there, including that $40,000 to $50,000 change, and then make sure that everything is what we want it to be in the policy. Because I think even Pam, you had some suggestions for things that you might want to change in the policy. So why don't we just take a moment, maybe at our
Policy
caucus, and
I-
review it?
I disagree with that. I think we've talked this matter to death. And I think that we leave our city in sort of a lurch without having an appropriate policy and adopting the model procurement code. So I would recommend that we go ahead and proceed with that. That, of course, never eliminates reviewing your policy, and it should be done periodically, but that in no way prevents us from proceeding to have a clear and up-to-date code before
But we
us.
already have a policy that we're working with. We also, tonight, we're reading ordinance number 3, that is about the procurement, code that is for the state. So we'd be adopting that model procurement code with that ordinance. I don't think there's anything wrong with pausing, even for just a month or two, to review that policy and just make sure it's buttoned up before we adopt it as an appendix to our code. And I agree that we have talked about this a lot, and I know it's confusing to, I think, especially probably to folks in the crowd. But what we've been talking about all along is the process for adopting a policy. Now that we have that in place, the point that I'm making is that we haven't reviewed that policy yet. We've only been reviewing and talking about the process to adopt it. So now is the time for us to do that. In addition, there are a couple of things that, for this particular ordinance, in the intro, it says Title III administrations. I just want to remove the S on administrations and make that singular. And then it is also missing the hereby clause. So be it hereby ordained by the City Council of the City of Park Hills is missing from this ordinance. So that should come before Section 1. I noticed that in a few different ordinances tonight. So back to the policy. I recommend that we review the policy. Just please hear me out. And that's all I'm asking. That we review the policy at our caucus meeting. Just have that opportunity to come with any notes. Julie can send it out to us, and we can just review it and see if there's anything that needs to change, and then it will be ready.
This has been sent out several times.
Okay, could we go ahead and vote on the first reading at the caucus meeting?
No, there's no vote on the first reading.
Okay.
This is just the first reading. Next month, it would be discussion and then either vote or table
Gotcha.
or whatever.
Gotcha, okay.
That's my recommendation. I just think it's due diligence. It makes everything clean so that when we publish it in the appendix, it's what we want it to be. And I know we've seen it multiple times, but we have not discussed what's actually in the policy. That's my recommendation.
Well, it's the first read, so I guess it remains the first read.
And you guys can discuss it further, or you can take her up on your suggestion, or you can.
I don't think there's any-
Second reading, if you still want to discuss it, you can table it that time.
I don't think there's-
Just throwing around the potentials.
If there's any harm in delaying it for this amount of time, but, 1-2 months, so that we get it straight.
It is straight.
The policy is not even attached to this ordinance.
I understand. I guess I will agree to disagree. I think it's important that.
It was at the last time we discussed it. I had Julie put it in there numerous times.
It's not here now.
Ordinance 3.
Okay, so everybody.
See if we can get on the ordinance 3.
Yep.
Ordinance 3.
Yeah, I know we need to read it technically, so there's a first reading, so. 3, an ordinance to the City Council of the City of Park Hills, Kentucky, creating in Title 11 Business Regulations of the Code of Ordinances, a new chapter establishing, new chapter 116, establishing a procurement code.
I have a few notes for this one also. First, I still think that Chapter 34 may be a more appropriate location for this to be placed in our code, unless we clearly cross-reference, because these things do relate to one another. So that's my first note. My second note is for 116.02, if this section doesn't add anything already covered by KRS, it may not be necessary, and it could potentially conflict with KRS in the future. So I recommend potentially removing that section and instead moving 116.03 after 116.01. And I'm sharing all this here because I've tried to send things by email, but that doesn't work.
I'll let Mr. Braun weigh in on it.
Well, again, I just draft them up the way I think you should put them into your code book. If you want to change it to the request made by Sarah or whatever, that's fine. That just flowed better.
I thought we had a caucus on it, and this went back and forth, and everybody kind of had a consensus, so that's.
To be fair, I don't feel like a lot of my thoughts were incorporated, but I will say that I'm starting from this place and making my suggestions as was requested. And so again, 3 different things. I suggest moving this to Chapter 34 because it may be more appropriate there. And I recommend removing 116.02. I don't think it's necessary. And I think just having 116.03, move that up because it's pretty important in this code.
Well, I don't understand why you think that 11602 isn't necessary.
I just think that some of it is covered in our policy, and some of it is covered by KRS and what exists. I feel like
So it's redundant?
Potentially redundant and could potentially create conflict with KRS in the future.
I tend to rely on our legal representation, and I think that's what we should rely on.
There's nothing wrong with redundancy. It happens all the time.
And I do believe a while back, it was asked that things be put in ordinance form so they could be found easily, even if they are in the KRS, that way it triggers that, oh, here it is, because there was many times the audience had said that they couldn't find something, and it was because it was in the KRS and not in an ordinance that they could just look up. And that was one of the other reasons to have these things in an ordinance form, to be available for public easier access.
I think we spent a lot of time on this in caucus, an hour and a
spent the
half, and we're
entire
talking about the
caucus,
same things
yeah.
again, so I hear you. I don't know that it's necessary to remove it.
I don't think it's necessary to have it.
Okay, and that's fine, that's your
Yeah.
stance.
And I kind of agree that we kind of, we pay the attorney, he's the legal guy here to keep us on the straight and narrow. I kind of like the way the attorney writes it up, but it's always good to have suggestions, but without a doubt, so.
I think we'll move on to the next first read.
An ordinance to the City Council of the City of Park Hills, Kentucky, amending Section 32.24 of the Code of Ordinances concerning the annual salary of the mayor.
That's the first read. Also, recommendations from Finance Committee, and it's for actually another administration. And anytime you do mayor council pay, it has to be done before May, so that's how this came up in Finance.
Is that a typical rate, salary increase?
Yeah, actually,
I did some research for the Financial Oversight Committee, who did recommend unanimously this suggestion. So If you look at the pay of mayors across the spectrum, there's great variation, obviously because of size of city, whether or not they have an administrator, there's a lot of variables. So the closest city to us in terms of size, and they don't have an administrator, is probably Lakeside Park. Their mayor is paid $14,000 a year. This ordinance asks for the mayor's pay to be increased from $10,000 to $12,000. There's been no increase in the mayoral pay for 4 years. So that would represent a, 5% per annum roughly increase over that period.
Is that typically, when you look at that every 4 years?
You really can only look at it every 4 years. You
Okay.
can't do it inter-term. So whatever decision is made here applies to the next mayor, not to the current mayor. It would only apply when that next, that's the way the Kentucky law requires it to be. And I will say this is something we discussed in financial oversight. The mayor, and I don't want to speak for you, Kathy, but how many hours a week do you spend on the job? I mean, it's a lot of hours.
It's a full-time job.
It is. It's basically a full-time job. We do not have a city administrator. We looked into even a part-time city administrator is, depending on who you contact, somewhere between $70,000, $75,000 a year. That's her part-time. So we really get a bargain in our mayor fulfilling all these functions, currently for a salary of $10,000 a year.
I have a couple of clerical questions, if you feel like are you satisfied?
Oh, yes. Just housekeeping questions.
Okay. One, again, the be it hereby ordained portion is missing from this ordinance before section 1. So I want to make sure that that's
And I'll,
included. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to butt in, but
That's fine.
I went ahead and redid these as they were passed last time. The only thing I changed was the date and the pay. So whatever is not in there that should be, can be added by the attorney, but like I said, I just took what the Word document and
It really
changed.
matters of style. It's not a matter of legislative.
Right.
That statement is required.
Well,
A
it-
statement there is required. It
So,
can vary.
Mr. Braun, do you mind adding whatever I need to?
No, I don't have any problem with it. Typically, you do put is hereby ordained. After whereas clauses, you use something similar, but it is more cosmetic than anything. As long as it's understood that you're amending something and you're passing the amendment, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and it says hereby amended, but, I think those are matters of style, but, and we probably had, I don't know if we had were you the city attorney 4 years ago, Mr. Brown, when this was done? Okay.
So, and there's also section 3, I looked at the code and that seems to be new. So I wanted to ask about whether that was accurate. It was not in our code online.
Oh, yeah.
So the
I didn't take out the first read because we had an emergency last time.
Oh, is that why it was?
Yeah.
Okay, we had an emergency read.
This is why I don't write the ordinances, Mr. Braun.
It's okay, I'm sorry, I'm just checking the details.
Okay.
Oh, and this is really small, but in section 2, in our code, it also says, on the third line from the bottom, so where it says formula application of section 246 of the Kentucky Constitution, it actually also says rounded up to the nearest $10, so that's missing there. And there's an extra.
I will not attempt to write ordinances anymore.
So are you proposing section 3 is not necessary at all?
I don't think it is, because we are not having an emergency read.
Well, it's in the council ordinance.
I know, I took them as they, like I said, I'll let Dan do his job and stay out of it. I just tried to help.
You do a great job, Julie. It's not about that.
You ready for 6?
Sure.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Park Hills, Kentucky, amending section 32.40 of the Code of Ordinances concerning the annual salary of the members of council.
And that has the wording in it, Julie. So.
Yeah. You can change it for second reading.
Same thing, and again, these are first readings, nobody has to vote for these, feel free to vote against them. I don't feel strongly about council having a raise, I did feel strongly that the mayor, basically, you cannot have a full-time job and be mayor of a small city and do it well. So that requires compensation.
I got my first check and didn't realize I was getting paid for this job.
Well, see, there you go. So I don't, we can all vote as we choose.
It's first read on ordinance
Just
number
putting
7.
it forth there. Okay, I'll pass these out too. These, all of these matters, these ordinances that we're talking about were procurement and this we discussed extensively in our caucus meeting. And changes you see highlighted there are those that were made in response.
I have a question, Mr. Ron, regarding this.
We haven't read it yet. Wait.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
An ordinance of the City Council, of the City of Park Hills, Kentucky, repealing and replacing section 32.36 of Code of Ordinances regarding meetings and establishing the order of business and conduct of meetings.
Okay. I was reading the KLC handbook, that this would probably be better as a municipal order. That's what they recommend because it's less legally binding. Is that, in your opinion, correct?
I've never seen it done any other way than by ordinance, but I guess it wouldn't be a prohibition. It's really only an internal function of the city is how you're going to operate, so you can do it by order.
Well, and in regards to us using Robert's Rules of Order, it might mitigate
Oh, that's
any
interesting.
kind of law issues if it's a municipal order, because I don't think it's as legally binding as an ordinance. So if we were to adopt Robert's Rules of Order and we didn't really follow it, which is difficult to do.
Well, we said that
I know,
it's
I know.
a general guide.
I understand that. But it might, if it's a municipal order, maybe that would change that environment?
Never thought about that. I guess you can make a case for anything. I guess that's possible, but I don't think it's really crucial. And secondarily, this was already in ordinance form in your book.
I understand.
So I'm just amending that
I understand.
portion of it.
I just read that today and I thought, well, I thought I'd ask that question.
And I'll just weigh in on the reason I think it was in an ordinance form is so you could access it publicly and easy to get to.
Okay. It didn't say it was wrong to do it this way. It just said that they recommended a municipal order.
I wonder, I think that it might be, it might make sense to do that for something like Robert's Rules, but I don't know about everything that's in here. I think that it's helpful for residents to be able to access the details
I agree.
of what conduct in meetings is like.
Okay.
You know, I recommend removing C and D entirely.
I have a thought too, when you're finished.
Oh, okay.
No, when you're finished with that, I have a thought on that issue.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a lot to go through, so
Okay.
I just want
Go
to make
ahead.
sure everyone's ready for that. Okay. So I believe that C is redundant. We already have a definition of quorum in our code, and it's already defined by KRS. I've stated this multiple times. D, I just think it's not sufficient to say that we'd use it as a general, use Robert's Rules as a general guide, because that means, you know, we're not being clear on when we're using it and when we're not. There are other code, you know, other standards we could follow. I actually brought, you know, there's Robert's Rules, which is this book. There's also another guide called, which someone lent to me kindly, the Standard Code of Parliamentary Procedure. That is a shorter, perhaps easier guide. But I think that regardless of which guide we use or how we decide to move forward, it's important for us to just make sure that we're actually following through on that, not just using it as a guide. Instead, we're adopting it or not adopting it. So that's,
I'd like to weigh in on, from the caucus, it sounded like everybody wanted to use it as a rule.
I did not agree to
And
that.
not,
As a guide.
and not as, yeah,
I
as
think
a
Sarah was
guide, that
opposed.
we're not gonna use it word for word.
I think that that makes it too arbitrary. It makes it hard for us to know when we're using it, when we're not. It's hard for, residents to know when we're supposed to be following it or when we're not supposed to be following it. I don't think that's wise.
Well, I think if you use it as a guide, and it's not so hardcore like everybody thought it was, that's what I took from your discussion.
Well,
of
and I think the
caucus.
ambiguity is probably intentional. To say that we're using it as a guide is intentional, because we aren't going to, that we're just using it as a
Right.
structure.
Well, I think it all came from different times of, we're using Robert's rules. No, we're not using Robert's rules. Different times of different meetings that happened. And so this kind of establishes that, okay, I thought from the caucus again, that everybody kind of thought it should be used as a guide, that it was something to follow. We're not going to be rigid about it, but it was something to follow along as its parliamentary procedures as well.
So if you take out C and D, are you too happy then?
Oh, I don't know, I think C should probably be there. So that's where I differ from your opinion.
Okay.
But I think it should be changed. I think it should say a majority of the legislative body, this is straight from the KLC book, must be present before business, I can't read my own handwriting, a majority of the legislative body and this quorum must be present before business can be conducted. I don't think it's wrong to have that in there.
I think it's,
Well, city
I think I'd have
council
to
is
see
the
it.
legislative body, so
Yeah.
that's what pertains to us as opposed to, a different format, like a commissioner. or
Right,
a-
I understand.
So I think you calling members of, so saying that a majority of the members of city council shall constitute a quorum, and you need a quorum to conduct business. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't have a problem with taking it out either because you know, I think it's important, we've been talking about this for 3 years.
yeah.
3 years. Just on this minor matter of how we conduct ourselves. And in that 3-year period, some of the things that I have suggested not be included, not be permitted to be discussed, have been discussed in a inflammatory way. For example, personnel matters. It's not appropriate to have personnel matters discussed in this forum. I mean, even the KRS says you go into executive session to discuss personnel matters. So I think these are important things that, in all fairness to the residents of this city, we need to have a format and they need to know what it is. And we need to live by it. If you want to take out C and D, I don't care. I don't care. To me, those are, incidentals in this. The important stuff is to conduct business. We have a first. We have a quorum. We have a first. We have a second. I invite everybody to read through this. This is a very generous ordinance in terms of audience participation. But in order for people to have meaningful access to your legislature, and in order for the legislature to do good things for the residents, there has to be consistency and there has to be an established procedure.
I don't see a
That's
problem
kind of
with
where
C
I am.
staying in there. I mean, it just clarifies it.
I mean,
Makes it
I don't
very
care
easy
one way or the other.
for people to see. So they don't have to refer to KRS. I mean, it's there. I know it's the same thing, but
I would like to also consider Laura's definition, because I would have to be able to look at it, I think.
Okay.
be able-
It's straight from KLC. It's what they have in there.
Okay.
So I'm not reinventing the wheel.
Oh, I'm sure. I just would like to
Yeah.
see it in place.
Well, let's
So maybe ask
Maybe
Mr.
we should
Braun to-
discuss it right now, because I'm hoping that we will have a second reading of this, and we will actually, after 3 years, adopt it.
But
So,
I still have some other notes too, so,
well, why don't we resolve this one, if we want C to stay in? Could you read what the KLC tells us it should say? And remember that our legislative body is the city council.
Well, then maybe it's not necessary to say legislative body.
How about, let's
Correct.
just hear what it is.
Do what?
Can you read it so we can?
Yeah, a majority of the legislative body, let's see, majority of the legislative body must be present before business can be conducted. That's it.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, city council. It's
Yep.
our legislative body.
Right, exactly.
Majority, that is a quorum.
Just add a tag on to before business can be conducted.
If anybody wants to look it up, it's on page 355.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Braun, is that,
It's your guys' decision. And I think it was
I
pretty clear to
think
begin
we're-
with. Pam wrote up.
I just don't care.
Additional draft, so that's fine.
Whatever makes everybody happy.
okay. And then can we remove D?
I don't care.
Wow, okay.
I think that would eliminate a lot of
It would.
contention.
It would. Okay, let's.
Is that so we can go back and
So-
forth at meeting after meeting that says, oh,
Who knows?
we're using it tonight, we're not using it
Who
the next
knows?
time?
I
That's what
guess we're
I've
just
heard,
not
and
gonna use it, and that's fine.
I've been here almost 16 years, and that's what's been used back and forth through the years. And so I think one of the
Virtually
things,
every
the reason
legislative body uses it.
that's there is that we use something. Parliamentary procedures should have been a given, but it kind of was used against whatever was going on at that particular time, so.
Well, I thought we were getting somewhere. I think removing it is,
We
I
can
think
remove
we-
it,
I
I
think-
just,
I think if we follow it, we follow it. We adopt it and we say, let's do that. But I don't know that we're all prepared to follow it to the line. And if we use it as a guide, then we might as well just do what we're doing. Like,
Which is what
that's
we're
not,
gonna do.
yes.
Right?
So I don't see
well,
why
are we
it's,
using parliamentary procedures, or what
Yes.
are we using?
we have,
With
it's
the motions
also,
and the seconds and the.
yeah, we do.
But
Okay,
if you
well,
really look at Robert's rules, it's,
then we'll leave
very
parliamentary
strict.
procedures in there, I think. That's probably good.
Well, I mean, I think, we could, if we want different language, all of this is in the KLC handbook. These things are already set in place. I think I've said this in these last 3 years, this has come up. There are standards for us to follow that are set by KRS and KLC's recommendations. If we want to be more specific about firsts and seconds, we could
That's already in
write that
here.
in here.
That's already in here.
then perhaps we don't need,
Then I don't think we need D. I think we just move
I
on.
don't care, like I said, you wanna eliminate D, eliminate it.
Okay,
Change
let's,
C to what the KLC says, only we will take the word legislative body and make it city council, because we are the legislative body for here, as opposed to a board of commissioners or, whatever. There's many legislative bodies. Okay.
are we good to move on with those changes?
I am, Greg and
Everybody?
Steve, how do you feel?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Mrs. Cordesi, how do you feel?
well, there was one thing, we did talk about a sign-up sheet, and it doesn't appear in
Oh,
here.
I haven't, I have things about that too.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, are we good with C and D?
Okay, gotcha.
Are we, Greg, are you good with C
I'm
and D?
good, yes, ma'am, thank you.
Okay. Steve? You're good
Yeah, I
with
just
C
said
and D?
yes.
Okay. All right. Do you want to go first, Laura, and talk about?
Just that it doesn't appear in here. We talked about the sign-up sheet, having it out there, removing it right at the beginning of the meeting, but it
Yes, we
doesn't
did
appear.
today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should be
We
in
can do it
there.
today.
And I think it probably should be 6A, somewhere in 6A.
So I have a proposal that includes that, actually. If you look after this is in E1, after E1M, where it says adjournment on page 2, it says, "The agenda will be emailed or delivered to council members prior to the scheduled meeting." I think, and then there's another line after that that says, "The sequence may be changed upon motion." I recommend that we move "the sequence may be changed upon motion" to being right after that adjournment line, and then create, this is going to require some renumbering, but make a number 2, make that the next part number 2, that includes, this is about the agenda, so agenda distribution and public notice. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. I'm actually off. in a
Yeah, I
different
was
section.
trying to follow
But
that. I couldn't find
Could
it.
we step back to Laura's comment?
yes, I'm sorry, I
first?
thought I was covering that,
Thank
but
you.
I have that in a different place.
So
I'm sorry,
on
you said
page
6.
2, under 6A, any person wishing to address council during a regular or caucus meeting shall first be required to contact the city clerk or make such request prior to the beginning of the meeting. Do you want to add a clause there by way of either speaking to the city clerk or sign-up sheet?
Okay, I'm sorry, I do have a section. I have so many portions. Okay, 6A, I have suggested language. I'm not a fan of the shall there. I think may is more appropriate because it's a little too binding. So what I've proposed, and I have a couple copies if Julie and Mr. Braun would like a copy.
I think shall is appropriate, because when you use may, you get into biased and prejudicial potentials. So, well, it shall be for you, but it might be for you. So I think it should be shall.
Well, how about I read what I have here? Any person wishing to address council during a regular or caucus meeting may register with the city clerk by submitting their name and the general topic of their comment no later than noon on the day of the scheduled meeting. A sign-up sheet shall also be made available at the meeting location prior to the start of the meeting and shall be collected by the city clerk. It doesn't have to be city clerk, but
Somebody.
to be collected immediately before the meeting is called to order. The mayor retains discretion to recognize speakers who have not pre-registered and to manage the order and conduct of public comment. Just kind of tie all that
6A
together.
kind of says, most all of that.
It does, but we're tightening it up and adding something about a sign-up sheet.
And its collection.
And the collection.
Or let's say,
As it
or make
says-
such request
Prior to,
I have the language if you would like. I have
prior to
extra
the beginning
copies.
of the meeting, that's fine.
God forbid we forget to hang that chart out there, Julie.
And I have a proposed B as well, because I want to make sure that we're covering, like, if someone wants to be listed on the agenda, because that's a little bit different, it requires a little more preparation. So for B, any person wishing to be listed on the agenda of a regular or caucus meeting shall, this is where the shall I think is important, contact the city clerk no later than noon on the Thursday prior to the scheduled meeting. Request shall include the person's name, contact information, and a brief description of the matter to be addressed. The mayor shall determine whether the requested item shall be included on the agenda and in what form. So what this does is it allows comment to be sort of in its own category, and then petition to be in its own as well. Just a moment.
That's fine, only I do feel strongly that it has to be shall. You can't have it may, because then it's like, okay for some people and not for others. It needs to be shall.
But if you have shall there, then it changes things for, well, I guess, okay, I can get on board with a shall there. That's fine.
I think it ought to have where they live in also.
Yeah,
You
so
know.
I was thinking that too, Greg, that
Yeah.
it should state their name, their address, and the topic.
Exactly, that it's a resident,
I
correct.
think that is important.
Yes.
That's her problem.
Everybody agree with that? Should
I-
have their
I can go
address.
either way, but I don't think it's necessary.
Well, why not put it in there? I mean, it'd be kind of nice if it's a resident or somebody,
What if somebody doesn't want to share their address? What will you do?
maybe they shouldn't be able to talk to them. I mean, what's wrong with somebody
Is-
putting their
that
resident, they
seems-
live at Park Hills.
What if somebody is like uncomfortable sharing their address
When
in
is it they're
public?
uncomfortable giving a name? Where does it stop?
Well, then it's on public record, so maybe somebody doesn't want to do that. So anyway,
Yeah.
Okay, so then B would become C.
Yes. And actually, I have a little, sorry, I have a little extra for C.
So C would become D.
No, this is still C.
This is
It would
B.
just be C.
Former B becomes C, and now you're
Yes.
going to add extra to that.
So public comments regarding personnel matters of city employees or officials or purely private disputes between residents in which the city has no direct regulatory or legal interest shall not be permitted. I just think it's a little bit cleaner. It's, it's a little clearer, I think.
I like that.
That's fine.
I think the original intent is,
Well, the intent is this is not the right forum to litigate personnel matters, which we endured several times here, and it's just not appropriate. It can be very defamatory to our personnel. In addition, it is not the right forum to litigate neighborhood disputes. That's a private matter of which the city is not a party.
and I think this covers that still, yeah.
Yeah.
So C becomes D.
Is there C? Yes. I don't have any changes for that one. But I also am going to propose some other renumbering, so I'm sorry, this is going to be more. Laura, do you feel like, did we cover sign up and all that? I think Sheila has a question too before. Do we want to answer Sheila's question before we move on?
How will you,
Sure.
how will you address what happened just in this meeting? I didn't sign up for a public comment because I didn't have a public comment. When Mr. Gerling said, any questions, I asked a question. So if something in the proceeding happens and you have a question, how will you address that under your rules?
I think that's at the discretion of the mayor, Sheila. I think that if you sign up, you're assured the opportunity to speak. If you don't sign up, I think it's at the discretion of the mayor if, as you just did, you raise your hand, because the mayor might want to continue that debate among the legislative body.
And I think we're in the middle of discussing an ordinance, so I think that should be finished first.
But I think I covered this, actually, to answer your question. In A, the end of A, I included that the mayor retains discretion to recognize speakers who have not pre-registered and to manage the order and conduct of public comment. So it's still allowed.
We're good.
That is the mayor's discretion, and that's a matter of state law, too.
Should that be repeated under your C, or are you good with just A?
I think it's okay under A.
I think it's fine. It's covered.
I think so. Okay. All right, I'm sorry, I'm going to take us back up to after the adjournment section. Is everybody ready? Okay, so the line it's the second sentence after adjournment, where it says, "The sequence may be changed upon motion."
Could you give us a page number and?
Page
such?
2,
Okay.
after letter
Because
N.
adjournment appears in here many times.
Okay,
I'm on
fair point.
page 3 adjournment.
Fair point.
Okay.
So page 2, under, as D, E, F at the top.
Okay, I see it.
Adjournment
Yeah.
M.
Yeah.
So the next section there that begins with the agenda, there are actually 2 topics there. So what I want to do is break those apart and move, the sequence may be changed upon motion to being after adjournment because it applies to this whole process here. And then instead, I'm going to ask for us to add number 2, which is going to move everything else. It's going to require some renumbering to cover items about agenda distribution and public notice. And again, this is for, similar to sign up, I feel like this is going to solve a lot of things. It's going to help with public interaction. So here's what I'm proposing. For 2A, the agenda for each regular and caucus meeting shall be distributed to all members of council no fewer than 72 hours prior to the scheduled start of the meeting. This is something we already practiced, but it was adopted by a resolution a long time ago. I think it's important for us to codify it, to continue that A. Distribution shall be made by the city clerk by electronic mail or such other method as may be designated by the mayor. So this isn't changing anything, it's just codifying what we currently practice. B, the agenda for each regular and caucus meeting shall be published on the city's official website no fewer than 72 hours prior to the scheduled start of the meeting, together with any legislation or supporting materials to be considered at that meeting, so as to provide the public a reasonable opportunity for review in advance. Again,
Which is
we
already
already
done.
do that.
Yeah.
C is a little extra.
So you wanted to incorporate the resolution into it here?
I do. I think it makes sense to do that, and I have the language for it. And then C is just kind of covering our base for special meetings. So for special meetings called pursuant to KRS 61.823, the notice and agenda requirements of that statute shall govern in lieu of the provisions of this section. So just because we don't have as much time sometimes for special meetings.
So to be clear, the 72-hour rule is eliminated for special meetings.
If, if they're called, 24 hours in
Because
advance
I
or
think you
something
have
like
to have
that.
that flexibility. Things do come up.
It
and-
does say 24 hours.
Yeah.
in our-
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
That's all good.
Anybody else have thoughts? Steve, Greg?
Good.
I'm
I
good
have,
with that.
I have one more thing. It's the last one. Okay, for the current section number 4,
Page 2.
on page 2. I just have a little bit of rewording here, and the purpose of this, oh, actually, I'm sorry, this is not the last item, but this is the last big item, okay. So, I wanted to make sure that we were covering, like, we are clear that it doesn't have to be a health emergency. Like, sometimes people have planned trips.
Yeah, it says a health, family, or work emergency.
Right, but that might not include something that is not one of those things. So the language I'm proposing is just that council members are expected to attend all regular caucus and special meetings and to remain in attendance absent good cause. A council member who anticipates being absent or who must leave a meeting early shall notify the mayor in advance. Good cause for absence or early departure includes but is not limited to health, family, work, or personal obligations, including pre-planned travel as communicated to the mayor prior to the meeting.
I like the language that's here, to be honest. I'm happy to include the pre-planned travel line, but I think it's important that it be clear that when you come to a meeting, you stay at the meeting, and you don't leave a meeting for pre-planned travel. So if we're staying at the meeting, it should be, if you have to leave, it's an emergency situation. Also, I'm fine with the pre-planned travel for being excused from a meeting, but I do think it's important that if a person must miss or leave a meeting for a good and valid reason, such as we have discussed, they should notify the mayor in advance. That's for clarity. That's so everybody knows what's going on.
You weren't suggesting that part be taken out though, right?
So I think this is in place of what's here in total for 4.
Okay.
And I think for me, the except for good and valid reasons is a little vague. So I was trying to tighten that up and give a little bit more clarity around that.
Well, let's go
So it's
through
not
that.
subjective.
If a council member must miss or leave a meeting, and it says for such a good and valid reason, and that's referencing back to health, family, or work emergency.
It's actually in there twice, so there are 2 sentences where it says, "No member shall be excused from attendance except for good and valid reasons."
Right.
And I don't think that's clear. I think that could be left open to subjectiveness. What if I
okay.
called the mayor and said, "I'm going on a trip and I can't come," and she said, "Sorry, you have to be there."
Well, we can add pre-planned travel.
I would just like us to, I can read it again if that's
Yeah,
helpful.
read it again,
Okay.
please.
So council members are expected to attend all regular caucus and special meetings and to remain in attendance absent good cause. I think that covers,
What's good
That-
cause?
well, it explains that. So a council member who, not just yet, so a council member who anticipates being absent or who must leave a meeting early shall notify the mayor in advance. So that's, covers that. Okay. Good cause for absence or early departure includes but is not limited to health, family, work, or personal obligations, including pre-planned travel as communicated to the mayor prior to the meeting.
And so, but not limited to, so that could be anything.
But it has to be communicated to the mayor. What if there's something we're missing? I don't know.
Well, I think the point of how this is written, and let's just think this through practically. Let's say you're here at the meeting and, something comes up, like you get a call and you know, your neighbor says your cat's out, you gotta go get your cat. I mean, something, you know.
It
So
could
you
happen.
turn to the mayor and you say, you know, it's necessary for me to leave. Because the mayor, this does not give the mayor the authority to say, no, you can't leave. All it does is you advise the mayor that you're leaving, so it's clear to everybody, the record's clear, I'm leaving. I think that we should tighten that up a little bit. I do think that to leave a meeting, it does need to be a good and valid reason, which is not like, I'm sick of being here, I'll see you, bye. So I think we need to tighten that up a little bit.
Well, how would you do that?
Well, I like how I did it. I'm happy to add pre-planned travel, but I think that
But how is yours different? Like, how is
it
yours tighter?
doesn't say, read your catch-all clause there again.
Good cause for absence or early departure includes, but is not limited to health, family, work, or personal obligations, including pre-planned travel as communicated to the mayor prior to the meeting.
No, you had another clause in there. It's not
No.
limited to.
No, that's,
Yeah,
I've
that
read the
clause
exact same
bothers
thing.
me. Yeah, that's.
Well, do you want to say, good cause for absence or early departure includes health, family, work, or personal obligations, including pre-planned travel, as communicated to the mayor prior to the
I
meeting?
would feel better about that, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'm good with that.
Good?
Okay. All right, I'm very close to being,
There's more.
two small, maybe three. Okay, they're all small. All right, so in 8B on page 3, this is just because we don't yet have this capability. So I want to make sure that we're not saying we're going to allow for members of council to join by video teleconference if we can't actually do that yet. So I don't know if we need to add a clause here. I'll wait for Mr. Braun. If we should add a clause here that's just, something about
If it's technologically
when it's
possible.
when it's
fine.
technically possible.
That's fine,
All right, can you make, yeah. So, okay,
because there is equipment failure too.
that's true. That is true.
Wasn't there talk about purchasing an owl?
Yep.
Yes, but we haven't done it yet, and
Yeah.
it's not, if we're going to pass this
I
ordinance,
think
and
that
it's not.
simple add-on is fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
So just add something about that.
if it's technologically possible.
I think I wrote, when technology is available.
Well, but we shouldn't, we don't want to invalidate a meeting if there's a failure of equipment, which does happen.
That's true.
I mean, it even happened, even TBNK, they're top drawer, absolutely, but there's been some issues. So,
It's always possible.
If you say available, that means it might be available, but you don't use it, so maybe you should really say if implemented.
it's fine,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So in 11, on page 4, at the very last sentence of 11, I would like to change the may to shall, because I think we should have minutes for committee meetings. I think we should always have them. And then for letter F, it states, let's see here, I just want to check the language, this might be like more clerical, but where it says any other ordinances or provisions in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. Do we need to say ordinances or provisions, or can we just say legislation? Doesn't matter.
You don't have to say it at all, because this ordinance will supersede it anyway.
Okay,
It's archaic language.
So just
Okay.
take it out?
Yes.
Okay.
okay. That is all. We did it.
We did some good work here, I think.
I think we
Okay,
did.
a couple things before we move on. First of all, Pam, I know we were working from your draft in order to keep from having to go through all the motions and time and energy. Are we continuing to do that? You're going to make changes pursuant to the draft you have that you present to council?
To the extent I have any of this straight, I will do that, okay?
Do you want
So
a copy
I
of
did,
this?
yeah.
She hasn't. Gave it to her.
I
you
have
did.
this, do you have anything beyond this?
No,
Okay.
I mean, other than, the things that I noted This is just the bigger things.
Okay.
I'm sure you can circulate it back and forth before the next meeting to the
Yeah. That would be great, and this is such a tiny thing, but the editor and me can't help it. Can we separate the 6 o'clocks from the PMs so they're not like adjourned, like together in the text? And
Oh, yeah. Under A1.
A1 and 2.
Yep.
Are we done with this one? Okay, now going back to ordinance number 5 and number 6, I looked this up online to make sure I had it right. The reason I did this by emergency last time was because you could not pass it by the time the ordinance, the law said you had to. And the CARES says it has to be done but no later than the first Monday in May of the year in which the officer is elected. So if you wait till your next meeting to pass it, it's going to be invalid. You need to put it on the special call for second reading.
I read
Right.
that
The
too,
caucus, yeah.
but in the first, can you say it again? The first year,
The first Monday of May of the year in which the officer is elected, so they'll be elected in November, so that you can't raise your salary up to the fact.
okay, that's clear, okay. So we do need to do it,
You need to do it for me.
Has to be done
An
in
emergency.
A special
Okay.
meeting before the caucus meeting.
okay, thank you for that. That's really, okay, so keep that in, okay.
So it's, section 3 stays in that.
But it's not by emergency, because that would be, we just passed it tonight.
Oh, that's a fair point, yeah.
It'll be
This
second
would be a
reading at the
second
special
reading at
meeting.
special
Yeah,
meeting.
the second reading will be at the special.
Right.
Okay, good. Then we can take
Yeah,
it out.
that's interesting.
We could have just left it in, passed it tonight, and been done with it.
Anything else?
Go to Julie.
That's all I want you to know, that you change it as you put it.
Do you stand?
Okay.
Yay.
Lost my train of thought for a moment.
I wonder why.
I'm just teasing. So, I usually ask if everybody has any questions on my report, but I have a couple things I want to address. So I've added some things to this report that I'm going to try to do from now on, if anybody of you recognize that, noticed it. I'm going to try to put in an investigation, a monthly memo. So you have an understanding of what's going on. I can't put too much detail in there until the case is finished, but I'll have to at least give you an idea of what we're doing, in case you have questions, because I'm sure people talk a lot. You saw where Sergeant Bradford mentioned that we've been able to utilize the cameras in the city twice last month for investigation purposes. And then we have our monthly training memo, which I'm going to put out each month to tell you what we've done in training purposes, so you understand that we're keeping up with and do our due diligence on staying accredited and everything else. And then anytime we have grants and funding, I'll put that in a thing also, along with the sex offender registry, but we haven't had any in Park Hills in ages. So, that being said, I believe I mentioned last month that we were going to do a senior citizen check-in. We actually had our first person register, and Sergeant Bradford went out and spent about 45 minutes with him on Sunday.
That's
Yeah.
great.
So I will probably, I'll try to figure out a way to get that to everybody, what residents we have that we're doing that for, so you're aware of it also.
How's the word getting out that you're offering that service?
From the website and just on the website and Facebook page, I believe.
I got a
You
few
guys-
names for you.
Okay, well, they gotta register. There's a form,
Okay.
there's a process they have
I'll
to
tell
do it, because we wanna make sure.
Well, I'm just saying, a lot of seniors might not be savvy
True.
enough to,
So I think, I wanted to kind of put something out at the parade,
great.
and I want to give the Civic Association, maybe anytime they do an event, they can also give that out to members.
Next newsletter, too.
Yes, newsletter, and I'm also thinking about putting it, it's like Reality Tuesday, ask if they would put something up for us in places like that where people might see it and go, hey, I got a relative in Park Hills that would work for.
That's great. So that he met with this person for 45 minutes just to
Yeah,
get to
something
know
like that,
him?
yeah,
and-
just sat down and he's all by himself, so, and that's part of this program, is to reach out and let them, so they're not alone, because there's so many people who are alone in this city that just don't get an opportunity to
Absolutely.
interact. So we're gonna do our due diligence to go out there and meet with them. After all, we're the third safest city in Kentucky, so we don't have a lot going on here, crime-wise. I'm kidding, but hey.
That's great.
Well, Chief, just to be clear, so Does the person themselves have to sign up for it?
No.
Or-
It
So
needs-
somebody else, like
Now,
a
someone-
relative or caregiver could do that?
Now, yes, and if they do that, then we will go and we'll interact with the client, is the best way to describe it. And if they don't want any contact with us, we can't force them.
Right.
But again, we also have, remember several meetings ago, we have the social worker, and that's assigned to us through that grant. So she's aware of this also, and she will work with these people if deemed necessary.
The navigators, that
Yes.
program? Okay.
That's great.
So, and she's very good. She comes in, stays in the office 1 day a week. She works from the office, and she's very motivated and has done a very good job. So that's really helped us on that end also, because now we have our contact person in-house that we can get with anytime we need. So that's worked out exceptionally well.
That's great.
So, that being said, City Council has never not given me anything I wanted that I can think of in the last
Oh, boy.
15 years I've been here. So, I want to let you know that we're motivated. I have things I still want. I want a canine and the drone, and we do the Christmas thing. You remember the donations we did last year? So, I am organizing a golf outing on October 3rd, a fundraiser, to facilitate the funding necessary to get the things that I want, because it's given me everything I've wanted so far. So October 3rd, the Blue Park Golf Course, we're going to have a golf outing. And that golf outing, way we're going to make revenue is through selling poles, sponsorship poles, and also we're having a raffle. I can't post a raffle yet because we haven't got our gaming license from the state. But as soon as they do, we're going to sell tickets for 3 things. A rifle, a shotgun, and a bottle of Happy 20-year bourbon. I've already bought the bourbon, the rifle, and the shotgun. I could pay for it myself and get funded back from the proceeds from the golf holes, or the city can buy them for us and then get the money back after July 1st when we make the proceeds from the golf course, from the golf outing. I don't care. I don't mind buying them myself. I'm already donating about $450 worth of items to raffle off at the golf outing. I've made a donation also. So I'll let you know that's what we're doing, the golf outing. That being said, on the canine, we are eligible for a $16,600 grant through the Haverkamp Foundation in Ohio. But there is a process they want us to do. So what I'm going to hand out to everybody, Chelsea didn't staple the 2 pages together, so
Oh.
you're going to have to hand that to Greg, please. This is, I mentioned it, I think, a meeting or so ago where I said, hey, I got this thing, and I forgot to give it to Julie to put into the, here you go, to put in the agenda, so you all could be aware of it. So that's just real quick summary of what canine will do for us. So this is not a bite dog canine, this is strictly narcotics detection and search and rescue. Already spoke with KLC. They're getting the numbers together for the insurance. I've already got a vet lined up,
Sure what I'm doing.
and we already had the cost basically figured out.
think I have
So all
two.
the funding will come from our golf outing. If we don't get enough funding from the golf outing, we're not going to have a canine
This is one.
officer.
There's 2 pages altogether.
Does that make sense?
I'm sorry.
2
We're
pages
trying to
on
read
it.
2 pages,
There's
okay.
a page too. Okay.
I gotta throw Chelsea under the bus.
There's an extra.
Can I have 1, 2?
Oh, sure.
Here,
Good. We got
here's
plenty.
1 and 2.
Thank you.
So as far as the canine goes, in order for, the Haverkamp Foundation, like I mentioned, requires that we have a vote that City Council does saying that they will approve the formation of a canine unit for Park Hills. I don't care, I just need something so they know that we're willing to do this program. And you can put in there that subsequent, it's depending on whether or not we raise the funds. It'll cost, if we get this grant, it'll cost me about $5,000 to $6,000 a year for the dog, and that should be taken care of in any fundraisers we're doing. And we're gonna do other fundraisers outside of the golf outing too. We
So
just
you need
haven't come
action
up with-
from us in order to get the grant.
So would that be done by resolution or just a verbal?
I think you can do it verbally, you've done things like that in the past. It's just approving him to go ahead and
So basically, the approval is subject to the following conditions. The program shall operate within the approved budget and funding guidelines. I'm taking care of all of that. All canine handlers must receive proper certification and ongoing training. That will come from the grant. The department must comply with all applicable policies, standards, and legal requirements. We're doing that through policy for KLC and the different organizations that she'll be with during as a canine handler. Additional reports on the program's performance and effectiveness may be required by the council. So if you have any questions about how this is going, then you would just ask.
What is the grant funding again? 16,000?
$600. And that handles the dog and the training, and she would be gone for a period of time, but all of her expenses are handled per the grant.
So does the dog need ongoing training, or is that just a one-time deal?
Yes, so what happens is once she graduates from the training, they do training once a month with the other canine departments throughout the city, Northern Kentucky, and whatnot.
Additional cost, I guess.
It's built into her weekly hours.
When you say her,
Her,
do you
you-
mean the dog?
Well, her and the dog together.
You mean Chelsea?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I didn't know if we were, if they only have females or what?
yes.
How many other canine departments are there?
4, 5, 6, Chelsea, you can speak on that?
To my knowledge, the only departments that don't have a canine at the moment is Fort Wright, and Edgewood. I honestly believe that's it,
Okay,
besides us as well.
okay.
And one of the benefits of our dog will be during earlier hours. A lot of the canines are at night. And again, this is not going to be a bite dog. This is so, I've already spoke with KLC, so that eliminates a lot of liability. But you still have to have insurance in case the dog
Does bite.
gets killed, gets injured on duty, or whatnot, and that does happen.
Yes, it does.
Also, by having a dog, we would be able to do more narcotics intervention and things like that. And anything we get opportunity for forfeitures.
I don't want to sound naive, but are narcotics a big problem here in Park House?
That I mentioned I have not, I'm glad you mentioned that. So unbeknownst to me, remember the last month there was a big ordeal going on, Old State, and everybody was asking about it, Old State and Terrace, I believe.
Yeah.
So that was part of the drug strike task force. They had got a lead, they did a raid, ended up, the raid actually happened over on, they were targeting a place on St. Joe's, but things kind of went wacky. So things, they had to do what they did when they did it. And they got hundreds of thousands of dollars from this guy. Well, I don't know if it's just money, merchandise, a lot.
It was intel from
They worked the case themselves, and we only found out about it because they ended up needing to come to Park Hills and conduct a raid. But they did what they were supposed to do and notified me ahead of time, and we went through it that way. So, and we had no idea. I mean, this person completely flew under the radar. So,
Is this person a resident?
yes,
Okay.
St. Joe's. I hope I'm allowed to say that. He was arrested, so it's public record that he was arrested.
I wonder, do we think it would be wise for us to do something in writing for this?
If I may ask, I'm sorry
Yeah,
to
go
interrupt
ahead,
you.
go ahead.
I would like for there to be a vote on it, that way in case she asks Nancy Haverkamp, who does the foundation. It's a Nancy Haverkamp Foundation out of Ohio, where I believe her son was a canine officer, and her son and canine were killed in a traffic accident in the line of duty. So she is very involved in the area of canines, and she's the one who puts this on.
And what is your
She
time
just had the
frame
run
here?
yesterday.
Yes, and Chelsea participated in a 5K run that her foundation put on to raise money for this foundation. And there'll be a golf outing later on that they also have. What was your question? I'm sorry.
What is your time frame? Do you need like an official resolution?
I would like to get one as soon as
Like
possible.
a written resolution, that
Yes.
maybe something we could
If-
look
if
at
that-
at this special meeting again?
I don't know.
Or we have a consensus here and it's in the minutes
Yeah, something like that. I
And
just need
follow up
something
with
that
a
when she
resolution?
comes to me, I can say, hey, look, it's on the minutes, they're agreeing to it, or however you want to do it. I'd like to have it done by
Let's do both.
July 1st.
Yeah, let's do both.
So let's
That's
take a
right.
vote now, it'll be in the minutes, and then Mr. Bond said we can always follow up with a resolution.
Let's be
Yeah.
clear on what we're voting on, too.
If I missed this, I apologize, but the initial, the grant is 16.6.
Yeah, and if we don't get the grant, we don't have a program.
Okay. And then you anticipate additional
About
costs to be?
$5,000 a year.
Okay, I did miss that. All right,
And
yes,
that
okay.
should be covered from our outing. We won't get the dog until after the outing, all right? So, because I want to make sure we had the funds to proceed with taking care of the dog each year. So, but I need to start the process so we can facilitate it, because I don't know how long it takes the dog to get the dog and everything else, and we can go ahead and secure our spot as soon as possible.
So what we'd be taking action on is applying for the grant. Is that
Well,
correct?
the grant is through her. She's already aware of that, and we're doing that now, but we have to do it. We have
Who's
to have
her?
the
I'm sorry.
Nancy Haverkamp.
Okay.
And we have to have the part of the initiate the grant process, city council has to vote that we're gonna have the K-9 program and abide by those items that I mentioned.
And those are her rules that
Yes.
she mentioned.
Yes.
So we have
Did I
to,
miss anything, Chelsea?
So the Haverkamp Foundation, basically she has fundraisers every year. Could I?
Please, yeah.
And I actually brought my binder because I thought you guys might have questions on the matter. So the Nancy Haverkamp Foundation is basically a nonprofit organization that she created. She gets sponsorships from companies and things every year, as well as she does the 5K and a golf event. Basically what she does is agencies will reach out to her. She mainly is based in Cincinnati, but also she's came over to kind of northern Kentucky as well. But agencies will reach out to her if they feel like a police program would be, or a canine program would be beneficial for their department. And if she feels that it's fit, then she takes her resources and possibly donates to it. So I've been in contact with her. The last time that I spoke with her, she said she needed a couple things from us. She said that she wanted chief's approval, the mayor's approval, council's approval, wanted to see that we were taking active steps to have the canine program, like getting a vehicle that's fully outfitted, having a vet, program with that, yearly cost for actually maintaining the canine program. So nothing's set in stone. It's just we're trying to have her take into consideration that it could be beneficial for our department. Also, with police departments having mutual aid, it wouldn't just be beneficial to our department, it would actually be beneficial to all of Kenton County and surrounding agencies. A lot of canine units are all through Kenton County. They help all cities as well as Boone County. Like some agencies here in Kenton County will back up Boone County if they need a canine that's not available.
And when you say a vehicle, you would have your vehicle, but it would be further outfitted to accommodate the dog.
Yes, ma'am, because there are certain things. So like the type of cruiser that I would need, it's a 2/3, 1/3. So 2/3 of the back of the cruiser is outfitted for a canine cage basically, and then the other third of it is the prisoner transport. You also have like fans and heat sensors and things that they put in the cruisers for the dog's well-being and safety, just so that it doesn't overheat or things. They also have like systems, I think it's called a hot pop, but basically it's like a remote, like I have a remote on my vest here that it can automatically pop the back door for the canine. So like if you don't have, available hands for it, or I think sometimes the alarm systems, it's even built in that way, like if the car starts to overheat, it's part of the alarm system where it'll try to open up the car, roll the windows down, or turn the fan on for the dog. So that's the kind of the
And
difference.
that cost, Chief, is what you're talking about covering in your auxiliary
Yes,
activities.
so we already got the canine figured out, outfitted.
Mhm.
That's why I need to have the council to vote on it, because if not, then I need to go back and have the cruiser changed. if we don't get the grant and stuff, but I need to do that sooner than later so we can go back to the other cars.
You're looking for a vote tonight for the council to authorize you to at least start the
A K-9
process. But we're
program.
going to follow this up with an order, and as Sarah said, so make sure I got this right. You want an order authorizing yourself to make a grant application with the Haverkamp Foundation to provide for a dog and canine program and to abide by the rules and regulations set
Yes.
forth? Is that covered?
That sounds good to me.
Is that the same thing we're voting on tonight?
I think tonight you're just voting that you're going to
We're voting
approve the
support.
program and allow Cody to proceed. but
Proceed with
you're
the
gonna follow
K-9
it up with
program.
an actual order authorizing it.
But to be followed by a resolution.
Correct,
to Formalize it.
yeah.
To formalize it.
I think there are a lot of detailed, I mean, to commit to a canine program verbally seems like a pretty large ask. I don't know.
Well, we're not going to formally do it until the resolution's all nailed down.
Okay, so what would
I
be
think all
different?
Cody's asking for is are you approving that you want to go forward with this or not? Otherwise, it just ends here.
Because if,
That you're going forward with the application is what they're looking for, not for
Oh.
I
spending
don't
money.
think- is that
Or that you
what
just
you're saying?
approve the program.
yeah, because the
That you want
program,
to proceed with the canine program, and then we'll follow up with it.
That's a lot to think about, honestly.
It
It's
really
because she's
is.
making it available, but she wants to know if council
'Cause
is
again-
happy with him applying for this grant.
again, it's not gonna cost the city anything because we're paying for it through the grant. But I have to ask city council to have action to apply for the grant. Without the grant, we can't have the canine program.
But the net effect on the budget is zero.
Yes, because I am gonna do everything with the spot, my fundraising.
My cousin, his name is Tom Schonecker. He was the head of the K-9 division for the Covington Police Department. He was chief of police for Covington for many years. And it's very interesting how important a K-9 division is to a police department, the protection that they can offer to the officers, the enhanced investigative skills that they provide. I was very, very impressed with what I learned, the ability of these animals and the relationship with their handlers. It's an important attribute for a department. So I would make a motion to support that.
I'll second that.
There's a question, do you want to continue the vote and then
Remember,
answer
this
the
is strictly
question?
just action to move forward. It's not,
But what
Okay.
is, I'm sorry, your motion is for what exactly?
To move forward with the grant application and developing a K-9 department for our city on a net zero budget basis.
I'll second that.
Okay, Mr. Claypool,
Yes.
Ms. Freilich,
I'm gonna say no, just because I need more information. I feel like
Miss-
I need more like dollar information, I'm sorry.
okay, Ms. Spore,
Yes.
Ms. Cardosi,
I guess I'm not supposed to explain my vote, but, no.
Mr. Elkins.
I'm fighting the urge to explain too. Yes.
Can I add a comment? And I have some questions about your report too.
yeah.
I think it's worth exploring. And I know, I heard about it at the Financial Oversight Committee.
Yeah, I guess I
Months
feel
ago.
like I've already gotten pretty much knowledge from that meeting.
But I
that
think they're,
maybe-
like, just from, I know you
More is
put
needed.
together this really nice memo, but for the costs and funding strategy, and I know we've already taken a vote, but I just want to like add a little, that might just be helpful notes. I would just like to understand like what all the costs are, like in actual dollars, so that I can see, and I know we're talking about it being at net zero from a budgetary perspective, but
I'll get that for you.
I just think that would be really helpful, and also understanding the ongoing costs. You know, you mentioned the $5,000 to $6,000 per year for ongoing training, and then we talked about the vehicle outfitting and the vet services. I just want to make sure that we're doing all the right things for the dog, for the officer, for the city.
And what we just passed was a net zero impact on the budget. So that's the premise of that.
I'm just asking
That's fine, I
to
will
see
get that
that.
to you.
May I ask a question too? Officer Little, number one, thank you for your presentation and for your commitment to this for our police department. What is the lifespan of the animal in terms of the dog's ability to perform?
So years of service, it varies. With it not being a bite dog, I would say probably at most around 7 years.
Okay.
I know, like right now, Villa Hill's dog, he's been in the program for 7 years. He's also a bite dog. So it honestly just depends on the dog and its, like physical ability and its health. I would say it's less strenuous for it to not be a bite dog and just be used for solely narcotics and tracking purposes versus, running and chasing down suspects and possibly biting and things like that. So
Right.
it
Okay.
kind of just varies.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question? What is a bite dog?
What you think? It's a canine dog that actually will bite a offender.
Okay.
So this dog would not do that. Those dogs are special.
They're trained to
Those are German Shepherds and Malinois and stuff like that.
bite down and not let
I guess my initial thought was the need. Is there really a need here in Park Hills with our city being so safe? Obvious question, I think.
It's just an opportunity for us to expand our police services, to do things that we're not doing now, drug interdiction possibly, search and rescue if it ever comes up. We'll have an elderly city.
And then we would, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No.
but we would then respond to other cities' needs as well.
If necessary, we could do that, yes.
I know I'm asking,
Go ahead.
I'm asking for extra information, but I'm just also thinking about, as we move into this idea, could we meet dogs from other cities, just have stories about, understand?
I'll do a hard pass on the bite dog, so I don't need to meet them. Yeah.
Fair point, but I'm just
Yes, I'm
thinking.
sure we can facilitate that for you.
Okay,
May not at the council meeting, but we will make arrangements.
right, that makes sense.
Chief, I got a question, as far as, let's say she pulls somebody over and there might be some drugs in the car and the dog sniffs it out and the gentleman gets arrested. Do we get access to the car after that?
Depends on the
I
circumstance.
mean, if it's,
If it's a forfeit, if it falls under the forfeiture, yes.
and then we would own, the city would own the car then, we could auction it
There
off?
there are
Goes
rules,
that route?
there are rules concerning forfeiture, and we would follow those rules and go from there.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
But the animal's immediate and long-term care is with Officer Little. You take full charge of that, the dog lives with you?
Yes, ma'am, the dog
Okay.
would live with me full-time and come to work with me and come home with me as well.
Okay.
This would be a friendly dog too, by the way.
Who gets to name it?
I was thinking that too, Julie.
Chief,
That could be
Ricky,
part of your raffle.
We're gonna move on to
Contest.
Let's go.
our report.
I have a question about the report, the report just in general.
Okay.
It should be really easy. First of all, I want to say thank you for all the extra reports. I was just wondering if we could consider sharing these more broadly, like in a newsletter or on the city website or something like that. Some sort of summarized version so that, residents know all the cool things that the police.
I can look into that.
Okay, I don't know
Maybe
what you're
post something,
capable-
maybe
like
post
grants
something.
or something.
Yeah, well, actually, I do think, I thought we posted those on our Facebook page when we got a grant. I will
Maybe
check.
that's a fair point. You might already do that.
Yes, I will, we can sit down.
Okay. And then the ongoing grant efforts, you said it says here that you have 3 active grant applications pending. Are any of those for the AEDs or something similar like that? Because we've talked about that.
To be honest with you, I don't know what those 3 are at the moment, I don't have the paper.
That's okay.
Sergeant Bradford's working on
Yeah,
that.
He does
he's
all of
working
those.
on those.
So Bradford does all the grants, and I failed to ask him.
Well, just following up because I know.
Thank you.
this.
Chief Raby? No, you fell asleep.
Everybody, hopefully everybody got a chance to see my report. We had 24 calls for service the month of March. The new PPE sets or the gear we wear. Those 2 sets were delivered. We're going to be reimbursed the $6,800 back into the Creighton from the State Fire Commission. Joint training was held with Ludlow and Fort Wright. We did get to do a little bit of training up at the old Days Inn before they tore it down. And we also were invited to participate in the annual Career Day up at Covington Catholic High School. So it was a nice opportunity to get up and meet some people and talk about the fire service. And then our emergency generator was received preventive maintenance, and it is going to need some repairs. So when I get that information, I'll pass it on.
Any question?
And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
He's a good one.
Dan? I know, poor Jay.
Greetings, Mayor Zembro, members of council, thanks for another month as always. Things are kind of quiet at Park Hills right now, just wait a little while. Bus stops improvements are coming soon. I talked with the contractor Friday, and he's ready to get started ASAP. I mentioned about it being on the parade route, and he's hoping to be long gone by Memorial Day weekend. The tulips have bloomed and look great, thanks to the Parks Committee and other volunteers for keeping Park Hills looking as beautiful as they do. Speaking of volunteers, we have the citywide cleanup this Saturday at 9 a.m. here at the city building. Hope to have good weather and plenty of help. And we received a little bit of information from Northern Kentucky Water District. I don't know if Jay's got anything to add. It means that he's here. I don't want to, cross that line. But anyway, they're working on getting the water main plans finalized and should be able to start doing something this fall. Anybody have any questions? Oh, and then the parade and flag raising ceremony is Monday, May 25th. And as always, need everyone's support to show our appreciation to all of our veterans. Now, any questions?
Thank you. Good.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. And Jay, I'm so sorry. I know, I thought I'd get you out of here early, but I'm not.
It's all good. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you.
The bus stop project, we mentioned a couple times, we did have a couple bids turned in on that. The low bid was $18,775 by TMS. That was the same contract that built the St. Joe's Lane sidewalk for, so we had a good experience with those guys. The other bid was Queen City for $24,120. Our estimate was right around $20,000, so we feel good about the $18,775, and would recommend the council go ahead and authorize the mayor to sign their contract for that work.
I'd like to make a motion to approve that lowest bid for $18,775 from TMS Construction.
I'll second
Second.
that.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Mr. Claypool?
Yes.
Ms. Freilich?
Yes.
Ms. Spore?
Yes.
Ms. Cardosi?
Yes.
Mr. Elkins?
Yes.
Great, thank you all.
Thank you.
The Dixie and Arlington intersection, the Mayor mentioned that. We started the process to do a cost estimate for what the city portion of that would be. So extending Arlington and coming around past the police building and tying into the intersection. So we'd be reworking the traffic signals on Dixie to have it just one signal. Be a lot more efficient. So we'll have traffic signal costs, improvements for the roadway, geotechnical costs. So we're just trying to get all the costs in order. We're not designing it now, we're just making sure we get an estimate of what it would take to do the work. So,
Excuse me. No, I'm sorry.
okay. Charlie Park, the mayor's asked us to take a look at the utilities and easements that are in the Charlie Park area. There is an extensive amount of storm sanitary, you guys are well aware of the overhead electric, et cetera, down there. Once we draw all those on paper and figure out the easement widths, for example, the overhead electric is 32 feet wide, the easement on it, so we really can't build anything underneath that 32 feet in the way of a structure, so.
And I did
Base map
reach out.
together first, and then we can figure out what you want to do.
I did reach out to Duke on that gas main we saw right in the middle of the space.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to get back to me. I gave him a little drawing of approximate, and he's going to look into it for me and get me some engineers to give me an idea. what that cost might be to move a gas main,
Okay,
so if we
great.
had to. Since everything's just kind of, it's a mess down there, a conglomeration of it, so.
Yep.
I thought I better get a jump on it and just ask.
So this is a good place for us to start, to see what our options are for a location. And then the last one was mentioned earlier too, that St. Charles project. They have submitted plans through PDS, through the sanitation district, et cetera, to begin to work on that project. Had a couple of review sessions with them, and then we have their submittals to the city. And nothing out of the ordinary so far, but a couple of things that are in the new Z21 did come into play. So I passed that along to the developer or the engineer for St. Charles.
You have more information than they gave me, so that's good. Yeah, I guess because you looked at the plan.
Yeah, we looked.
Yeah.
Yep, we reviewed them twice now, they made two different submittals.
She told me about the phase one only, so.
Yep.
So Jay, may I ask a question? Are you
Sure, go for
okay.
it. That's all right.
On the St. Charles project, will they be using one of the existing access, or will they change the access?
Yeah, they're gonna use just Hilton Drive.
Okay, so they'll just keep that.
You'll come up to the top of the hill, and then you'll continue to Notre Dame as it
And you'll
functions
take that
now, where it's
kinda
one way
left.
down to the school, and then
Yeah.
one way back up, and then there'll be a separate entrance at the top to get into the St. Charles.
Okay. And then on the Dixie and Arlington intersection relocation, so our crosswalks, all that will change too, and you're looking at all that as well? I hate to ask this, but actually, I think Greg brought it up at our last meeting. Will the bus stop stay the same?
Yes.
Yeah, the new
So
proposed
no
project we
problem on
have-
that, because we're putting this in.
Yeah, should
Right.
be
Okay.
I talked to
out of
Tank,
harm's way, per
they
se.
wouldn't want to move it because then you get up to the curb cuts and there's nowhere to stop without blocking it.
Okay, so that's fine, okay?
Yep.
Are there public plans for St. Charles that are available yet?
I don't know, you've had several conversations with the
Yeah, I
sisters,
don't
and I
think-
think they're trying to keep it
Yeah,
a little bit quiet for now until all
Until
the
they
sisters
have
are
a-
aware.
yeah, because they're still working out their contract, so I don't think they have it all for public yet.
Will it be going, I mean, will it go through KCPC or?
Yeah, they're
anything
at
of
that point
nature?
now where they're
Okay.
trying to get some things talked about. And then they'll work on that, they'll see what they can approve and then they'll work out their contract, I believe.
Okay,
I'm not sure. I'm getting tidbits every time I call, so.
sure.
And Jay, one final thing, we had talked at the last meeting that Mr. Zeltwanger, and I know the mayor said she mentioned it to you, is willing to like push dirt over toward Hamilton so that perhaps we could have some kind of T. Are you working on that?
The mayor and I met out on site and looked at it, and yeah, it's
Okay.
gonna take a significant amount of dirt. So I think she's gonna communicate with them and find out who, from their side, is designing it. They had a civil engineer, they also had a geotechnical engineer, so I'll coordinate with.
And you'll
whichever
work
one.
with them. This was actually, Mr. Von Handorf brought this up to me, and I think it's an important point. If you're plowing that street, or if you're the garbage truck, there's no turnaround. So you're gonna use a driveway, or you're gonna back out, so.
And right now, it just drops off, so.
Yeah, and it's a very serious drop-off, so I think it would be a safety enhancement for everyone on
Yeah,
that
they're planning
street.
to fill that in to improve those lots
Right.
anyway. So
But
the
I would-
Cultures are good with.
As I understood it from Mr. Zeltwanger, they are going to develop I think he said a spec house on the lot that would be involved there. So I think
Okay.
the time is sort of important that we get it worked out now.
That'd be good, yeah. As soon as you get some
Right.
information or contact, we'd be happy to reach out. And
Right, I'm waiting to hear back so I can pass that on. so.
great. There was an item on Gateway at the bottom that does not change, that we still need to do a punch list, all thank you for that, but at least the bond if we have on it. So,
Yeah, we're holding on to that.
yep, good.
Thank you so
Go
much.
ahead. Unless you have any other questions.
Jay, I hate to do this to you, but I have something to discuss with you afterwards, if you can stay for a minute.
Can we discuss it in the morning?
I mean, if you can't stay, that's fine. Since you were here, I thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah.
But I'll call you if you want.
If that's right, I was gonna call in the evening unless you guys have anything else.
I think Carl had a question.
I had a quick question. I don't know if it's.
Not
for
from
you,
Carl,
Jay,
I
or-
know way.
If Arlington Road were to be realigned behind the police building,
would the police building itself require any work? I know some work was done to improve the drainage and build a retaining wall. Also, we never considered that would need to be an attractive facade on that side of the building. If a road were to go behind it, I didn't know if we anticipated any other work on it.
That's a good
No.
point. That's a good
I think
point,
it's
though.
staying far enough, it would stay far enough away that it wouldn't require us to do anything to the police building.
Makes a good point.
But to your point, for budgeting purposes, I reached out to a geotechnical engineer that's also working on the rest of that development to get a fee from them to do a boring or two along the back of there to make sure we don't have any problems with the road up against the building, or any of the building. So
Okay.
they're not going to proceed yet.
I think
Get
what
them
we
either
saw was
fees
like
or
20
pay
foot
them.
away or something.
But yeah, if you do want to change that facade anyway, improve the drainage, that'll be when we proceed forward with the detailed design. But we'd like to make sure we get it in the budget now on our estimate, whether it be high with this estimate and low.
Yeah, the drainage was taken care of on that building, so we want to leave it
So, yeah, if there's any
in good
problems
shape. Yeah.
with the drainage, let me know.
Thank you, Jay.
Great, thank you all.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
Fine so far.
We have a financial report.
Anybody have any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the financial report.
I'll
Is there a
second that.
second?
Any discussion? Mr. Claypool?
Yes.
Ms. Fraley? Ms.
Yes.
Spore?
Yes.
Ms. Cardosi?
Yes.
Mr. Elkins?
Yes.
And I know it's late, and I hate to go over our 2 hours, but is any other business someone needed to
I'll
put
be
out?
super quick. We had talked a few meetings ago about Park Hills becoming a Purple Heart City. I think at our Memorial Day parade would be a great opportunity to announce that. There's very little things required of the city to make that happen. There are no dollars required, but we do have to pass a resolution in a particular form that they provide us with, and I will share that. It's very short. I'll share that with everybody, and perhaps that could be on the agenda for the special meeting, or for the May meeting, whatever. But I think it would be a nice time to announce that.
Was there a motion to adjourn?
I was just going to say, an infrastructure committee meetings, I
Oh.
typed out my meeting minutes and left them on the printer. So, but Julie, they're published or posted?
I did post the minutes you sent to me.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on
So
there.
if you want to go look at it. The only thing I wanted to mention is this Trolley Park, you saw a lot of water district trucks around there for a while. There was a leak in a water main that was unknown to us, but it turns out it was controlled the pressure for all the houses on Hamilton, so it needed to be fixed. So it leaked right under the tree is wiped out, so the tree's gone. They made all the repairs, they repaired the sprinkling system, and they're gonna replace the tree. The only cost to us is gonna be maybe some soil reclamation where the tree got taken out.
Right, when
Okay.
they had to dig down to make the repair, obviously some soil was displaced. So the new tree is actually being delivered tomorrow, courtesy of the water department, and hopefully will be planted tomorrow too. Not exactly in the same location, because obviously they don't want it right on top of their main again.
Yep.
So it'll be off to the left of the main.
That's it.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Julie,
We have a first.
note that I made that motion.
Thank you all for.
So Steve and then Pam.
Yes, and it's my first time ever to do that.